Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this discovery session with one of our PA Forum valued partners, Jenny Cross from CHS. I've personally had the pleasure of working with Jenny now for a good couple of years, and I've also had the chance to experience CHS as a supplier in the past, where I've been at a hotel and I've been exhibiting at some of their events and engaging with lots of you. So it's fantastic to welcome you today. I just want to apologise. I've got my camera off because my Wi-Fi is very poor. And I'm so sorry, Jenny, that you're talking to me with no camera on, but it's wonderful to welcome you today. How are you doing?
I'm really well, thank you, and it's no problem. No, really well, thank you. I've been enjoying the weather and very busy at the moment, which is fantastic. So
Tell us whereabouts in the country you're based, Jenny.
so I'm based in Cheshire, but CHS actually doesn't and has never had an office. We originated in York because that's where our founder Emma was based, but we all work entirely remotely and always have done. So we are all across the country, and Emma, our founder, now actually lives out in Fuerteventura and is resident there. So we are sort of spread across the globe a little bit, but I am Cheshire based.
Amazing. I'm very, as you know, I very much aspire to be in the same position that Emma is in. Living in the Canaries would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, I probably engaged with CHS, I'd probably say about 10 years ago. When was the company started?
So we've just done our 12th Leeds, which was the original show. So the company started just over 12 years ago, just going into 13 years.
Amazing. So tell us all about, I know Emma, who's the founder and CEO, tell us kind of a little bit more about why CHS was created and kind of the journey of CHS so far, really.
Yeah, of course. So Emma had been working in Leeds and Yorkshire. As I said, she was based in York at the time for a long time, had her own events business. And the Royal Armouries, who were the founding partner of Leeds, CHS Leeds, came to Emma and said that they would like her to take over a show that was happening then called the Big Wow Show. Because they couldn't do it anymore. So Emma thought about it and eventually ended up taking over that show and creating what was then known as the Corporate Hospitality Show. But she wanted to change it. We have 3 founding principles that we still follow with everything we do to this day. Integrity is one to both our exhibitors and the people who attend our shows. So everyone is on a fair playing field, being a hug for the industry. So we're always there to help and support everyone. And we also changed it so that there is vetting around who comes into our events, both so that you get the best networking as an attendee and the best opportunities, and so that the venues who partner with us also get their best return on joining with the show. So that was, as I said, we've just done our 12th Leeds. And for a little while we moved away from the Royal Armouries. We've just headed back and we've done our second show there, and we love working with them. And over the years the company developed, so all of our events are around bringing together event professionals and agencies, PAs, anyone essentially who books hotels or meeting rooms or organises office parties, anything that you do in your day-to-day life that requires a booking with a venue or a hotel. Our aim is to introduce you to hundreds of venues from across the UK and internationally.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And just give us, so how many, so obviously I know we'll talk about Birmingham in a second, but Leeds just happened. So how many people came to the Leeds show this year?
So we had 56% increase on leads this year, which was fantastic. And we broke over into just under 400 through the door throughout the day, which was incredible. Our leads got hugely affected by COVID because of it being a spring show. So we lost 2 years. And we're just building that back up. But it was our best show yet. And we're looking to build that again next year.
Amazing. So tell us then, so obviously before the pandemic, Birmingham was launched, wasn't it? So you decided, right, we do a northern show, because I don't know whether, many of you agree on the call that are here. There's so many opportunities in London. There's a lot of shows in London. And although we've tried to partner with some of those shows in London, they can be very London centric. And that's great if you're in London and you're spending lots of time in London, and you're probably booking a lot of London-based venues. But one thing that I particularly like about the CHS show is that you have you put it into countries and regions, don't you?
Yeah. So if we talk about Birmingham, which we're launching this year's Birmingham show tomorrow, we have a West Midlands section on the floor plan, which is clearly marked, and then an international section and various other. The floor plan is almost sectioned, which becomes clear when you see it printed in the show guide, so that you know that you can base yourself in an area if you only book events in that area. But also, so if you have a target, if you've been tasked with a project to book a board meeting in Paris, for example, you know where to head to find those hotels that can help you, or venues that can help you.
And you also work with destination management companies as well. So if anyone wanted, an incentive, for example, where, you needed to book 50 people to, I don't know, some exotic location somewhere, then those destination management companies can also look after, they've got the contacts in all those countries, haven't they, that people can go to. Is that right?
Exactly. So they come as a representative of their country or of their region. It depends on which one we're talking about. But they then, if you give them their inquiry, they can then get you in contact with the best people, the best venues that they have more detail of.
Amazing. So why Birmingham? Why come to Birmingham?
We knew we didn't want to do London. Like you said, it's so saturated in terms of events. So we were looking at where else to go. And at the time, there were still some other shows happening in the north, or had just happened. And we saw Birmingham as a real hub. In terms of transport connections. At the time, obviously the Commonwealth was just games were just coming. So we saw it as it's really central in terms of being able to use public transport to get to, but also a hub in terms of business outside of London. And when we looked at those things, it was just a no-brainer. It was where we needed to be.
Very proud that it's in Birmingham. It's great, and that's a fantastic opportunity, particularly for our network, for those people that live locally to Birmingham, but also because it is so accessible. It can be sometimes difficult to travel to Leeds, so the fact that it's in Birmingham as well, excuse me, is amazing. So the show isn't just venues though, is it? You also do event services as well, don't you? So if you don't necessarily book a venue, so to speak, like you were saying about those people with office parties, or if they gifting, like there's lots of different things around the hospitality industry, isn't there?
Yes, we do. We have present at the shows all of the surplus is the wrong word, sorry, the services that you also use for those things. So we have bands, team building companies, gifting, like Daniel said, and new to the floor this year is a bars and restaurants area. So they have their entire area on the floor, which is for bars and restaurants if you want to reserve an area after work on a Friday for a celebration, or again for that party. So we have a real mix on the floor in terms of it being able to help with everything that you need in terms of booking hospitality. The other thing,
Christmas parties as well, I would imagine.
Yeah. The other thing that's new to us this year is we're working with a couple of corporate hospitality companies. So if you book boxes or tickets to shows or events to take clients out, we can help with that, because we now have some of those hospitality companies working with us for the big stadiums around the country, but specifically for those boxes for shows.
Amazing. And just because if I don't ask you, she'll kill me while we're on this call. But I can see that Jeren is with us from Turkish Airlines, one of our partners. Do you have travel, like a travel section as well? Is there airlines or bus, like bus or train? Is there kind of transportation within the show as well?
So it's a bit we're growing into. So for the first time in the last for the last year, we have a partnership with Avanti. So trains are represented at the show, and it's somewhere we aspire to grow to. So airlines and airports and things like that are on our aspirations to have an area for them as well.
Amazing. So let's say, for example, whether you want to go to Leeds or whether you want to go to Birmingham, you offer two different ticket types. It's completely free. It's completely free to go to the show, isn't it?
Yeah. So everything we do as a company for event professionals and PAs is completely complimentary for you to attend. And as Daniel said, we have two different types of ticket. The only difference between them is that they're based on where you're located from the show. And if you're outside 60 minutes from the show location, we offer you accommodation the night before. So anyone in the West Midlands coming to Leeds would get accommodation the night before. So that's our hosted buyer ticket, and we put you up in a lovely hotel in the city overnight. There's a welcome reception, and then you do the show on the Tuesday. And a second type is our VIP ticket. You still get full access to the show. You get a diary to book appointments. We provide lunch, tea and coffee all day, unlimited refreshments. The only difference is you don't get accommodation on the Monday night because you don't need it. So they're the two types of tickets. And like I said, the hotel accommodation is the only difference in them.
Amazing. And so just for anyone, literally then the only thing you would need to do is actually get there.
Yes. So you're in.
Okay. So just so you normally have a mix of hotels that are quite close to the main venue. So it's either the Royal Armouries in Leeds or it's the ICC in Birmingham, isn't it? So it's very centrally located. Yeah. And the date for this year's show, Jenny, is
the 31st of October. It's on Halloween this year at the ICC, and it runs from doors open at 9 o'clock. They shut at 4. And then we do an after party drinks reception, which everyone is welcome to, which is a couple of drinks just as we wind down. And throughout the day, not only are there all of the suppliers and venues for you can either book appointments beforehand or walk the floor to meet who you think you want to meet, and some that you might not know about. We also have an educational stage. So that is about us picking up on topics that are really key to the industry, but also ourselves. We've had a strong focus in the last year on well-being in terms of us as professionals, because it's such a key topic. But that educational stage runs throughout the day. We usually have 6 sessions with specialists talking about their fields, which the theme will be coming out about shortly for Birmingham.
And is there multiple stages running at the same time?
No, we only have one stage running.
One stage, okay. And it's free to go to any of those educational events throughout the whole day as well?
Yeah, the entire day, like Daniel said, other than your transport to get to us, everything is free for you.
And do you have to go for the full day?
No, so it depends what you want to achieve. We recommend doing no less than half a day with us, only because the floor is so big to get around. But you also want to have those opportunities to network. So I know that this year Daniel's doing a PA forum meetup twice in the day, about 9:15 and 12 o'clock. What we'd recommend if you're coming for half a day is you get complimentary lunch included. So either come in the morning and meet Daniel at 9, do a few hours and have lunch and go back to the office, or do it in reverse and arrive and have lunch, do the show, and then join us for a drink at the end of your day, whichever you can fit in to your schedules, because we know how busy it is. So whatever works for you, we would love to see you there.
Amazing. Thank you, Jenny. And thanks for giving us that space. And for those of you who might not have been to a show like this before, or, you know, or the reason we kindly asked Jenny if she would, or Jenny kindly has arranged this space for us, is because it can be quite daunting coming to a show like that on your own, potentially. So we want to be able to introduce you to other members who are going to be at the show. And we've already had about 40 members book on already, haven't we, Jenny? We want to be able to introduce you to each other either in the morning or just before lunch, so you don't feel like you're on your own at the show, and maybe you can kind of buddy up with somebody, or I can help introduce you to some people as well throughout the day, which would be great. And of course, Jenny will be there. She'd love to be able to meet you all as well. So
I'll be on registration, that's for sure.
Thank you so much for doing that for us, Jenny. So if anyone's interested, we've got a particular PA Forum sign up link. That way the registrations come through to me and I can see who's booked on, and so then I can communicate with you all on the lead up to the event and just make sure you can let us know what time you want to come, and then Jenny will obviously be managing the CHS communications that you'll get on the lead up to, so you can plan your day, book appointments in that you need to. Jenny and her team and colleagues will be able to support you with that as well, won't you, Jenny?
Definitely. Yeah.
And so CHS isn't just about the big shows that you do, is it? There's also lots of other things that you do, which are very exciting. So one of the things you do throughout the whole year is the inspirational venue road shows, isn't it?
Yeah, so we shorten them to IVRs.
You love an abbreviation, I love it. Yeah.
But what they are is we travel around the country. We're doing 10 this year, and we are hosted at a venue, and it becomes a little bit like a familiarization trip. So you get hosted by that venue overnight, but we also bring 20 other venues from across the country. So you do one-to-one meetings with all of the venues throughout the day. We get hosted with a fantastic dinner and an overnight stay. And it would be it's really inspiring in the sense of they are unique venues, they're not big chains, so we get into some that lots of people don't ever get to experience. So for example, our next one is at the Aviator Hotel based at Farnborough International Airport, and the idea being you come away having contacts at 20 venues, and this one is solely venues from across the country, and you will have met 20 other people who are booking things for their businesses, and you get to have a lovely night in the hotel and network with everyone whilst coming away with that information.
Well, you've had some so far this year. I think you've had a boat cruise, haven't you? Was it at what was it called?
At Lakeside, we had a boat cruise.
Lakeside. So Lakeside, is that in the Lake District? You had a boat.
Yeah,
you had a boat cruise there. You were at Butlins Bognor, weren't you? I
was, and we went down the Helter Skelter at Butlins. And then we've had Haycock Manor, which is a brand new reopening of a hotel just outside Cambridge, who have a cookery school, so everyone got to make fudge, and yeah, it's a very exciting series. And I've just seen the question, it isn't so for each event on the IVRs, we don't have the same venue again. At most we have 2 or 3, because they carry on as hosts sometimes, but no, it's different venues that come to each of the events.
Yeah, so what happens is you run them as a series, don't you? So this series at the moment is so it's a fresh series that you've got at the moment, isn't it? So Aviator is a new series on the 10th of July. And then you're coming to Birmingham in September with the same set of venues, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's the end of the series, because Haycock was the beginning.
Haycock was the beginning. So the last one of that series, and we've got a list of the exhibitors if anyone wants to see those that are coming to that Birmingham event at Edgbaston Park Hotel. And is that 18th of September, Jenny?
Yes.
And what would you say, again, it is during the day on a Monday. So I know it can be difficult, particularly for PAs, to be able to have that time to come out of the office. And obviously, as we know, the diary can change at last minute completely. What would you say is the benefit for them to be able to come, you know, if they are looking for events, or if they've been tasked with a particular project to be able to look after you know, we need to be able to sell that to kind of the executives sometimes as to why we need to come out of the office for that particular day.
Yeah.
So what sort of feedback have you had in the past?
So the idea behind the venue roadshows is that it's a way, if you are tasked with booking things across the country or specific things for your business, it's a way to make those introductions in one day without having to wait for the task or the project to be put on your desk and then going and trying and find people and going to speak to them individually. So the idea is we put them all in one room to save you time, and then you can just build that record of who you've met for when a project comes around that you need a venue for. So the idea is to congest it into, you're only leaving the office for one day. We appreciate it's one day and we know how hard it is to leave the office because you're all so busy. But it's meant to stop you having to do lots of different trips to meet people. And for the shows, we do, if you do need help justifying it to exec, we do create a letter each year which is written down in order to put on paper why coming to the show would be beneficial, and Daniel will have that if you do need it at any point.
Amazing, thank you, Jenny. That's really helpful. And I've done it before where I've had a particular inquiry and I've come to the show, and it's just been so good while you're talking to people and understanding about their facilities and locations and where they're based. Just to actually be able to talk, literally give that inquiry. You go to the show for the day. By the time you get back to your desk the next day, all the proposals are sent over to you, and you've just saved so much time, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. And it just you also walk away with the contacts for the future. So as we all know, relationships are key with lots of things. So if it just helps putting that face to the name and building that relationship. So if you need something short lead, you know who to go to within the industry.
Amazing. So I think Louise has popped a question just about, do you do, just for the purpose of those watching the recording, so do you have options for team building, meetups, showcasing, etc., like Flight Club, for example?
Yeah, so we have kind of both of those separately. So the bars area that we're introducing this year will have things like Flight Club and bars and restaurants that do team building. But we then also have the team building companies who would either come to your office, or if you've hired another venue because you're having a dinner. Like Off Limits, who would come to you and build your package around what you're looking to achieve. So yeah, we do cover both of those within the shows in various different ways.
And what I would say is that the pre-show party that you have the night before is always at a venue. So it hasn't been announced yet, and I know Jenny's not telling me. I tried to pry the information out of her before she came on today. So we will reveal you'll reveal that soon, won't you, Jenny?
As soon as I get the go ahead from above me, it will be revealed. But it is a city centre location venue that can be used for all sorts of things. It's a very diverse venue.
So people are probably looking at, is there a limit to how many people can come to the show? So I think Makid put on there that she'd like to invite quite a few people to come. So for CHS, there's not a limit to the number of people that come, is there?
No, I mean, once we get sort of over 5 or 6, I would start to talk to you about why each one wants to come. It's not that it's a limit, but just to understand sort of the purpose. Do you all look after different accounts, different things? And then there's not a problem at all. It's just so I understand why. And then for the road shows, we have to, because it's only 20 people in a room, we have to put a limit of 2 per company for those road shows.
So if anyone wants to register for any of these events, there's a short registration form that they need to complete, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And all we ask on those is an example of something you've booked, whether it's team building or an area in a bar or your Christmas party or a big conference, whatever it is. We just ask for an example to show that you are a booker in some form for your business.
Would that count if, let's say, people have done virtual events, but they might be now looking to come back and do face-to-face events in the future? Because I know some companies' policies have just changed, are kind of just changing now, which is crazy. But now we're kind of in that back in that face-to-face world. If they have been doing virtual events, would you accept that?
Yeah, as long as you put on, because there's always a text box, as long as you just put on there that you're now looking to come back, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, amazing. Sorry, there's quite another question in the chat box. So, okay, no, that's fine. Thank you, Makita.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, and then there's also another. You touched on the well-being side of the of CHS. So I heard, what was it? Your number top 5 ranking podcast in the world at the
Top
moment.
5%, not
Top
5.
5. Oh, the top 5%.
Yeah.
Wow, we'll edit that bit out. But yeah, well done for being the top 5%. That's amazing. Tell us about the podcast series.
Yeah, so we've launched a lifestyle brand alongside CHS called The Edit, which encompasses our podcast and will encompass a offers area for lifestyle things, so spas, restaurants, that type of thing. But the podcast, which is called Love Life, Live Well, I always get it in the wrong order, was a dream of Emma, our founder. So Emma is very, very interested and involved in well-being, and she does a lot of coaching. And she wanted to create a podcast, and it's nothing specifically to do with the events industry. Lots of it ties back in, but it's something everyone can listen to. So in our first series, there's a episode on habit stacking, but there's also one on journaling and how that can help you. It covers such.
I've got to say, Jenny, sorry to talk over you, but I listened to the journaling one and I loved it. It was amazing, because I've actually tried to find a speaker for PA forum about journaling, because it can help people so much. And it's definitely something on our feedback form that comes up every year as journaling. And so again, it's free to download the podcast, isn't it, and free to listen to that. But I would really encourage people. I listened to that and I thought it was a fantastic session. And I had a friend at the time who was going through a really difficult period, and I sent it to her, and she listened to the journaling podcast, and she absolutely, what it's done for her is it really made my heart warm. You know, it was fantastic to be able to see that. So
and that was what Emma wanted. She wanted people to listen to it. She coins it as a lifestyle magazine for your ears, so you can be walking the dog, doing the washing up, whatever it is. Each episode is only ever half an hour, so they're not too long. And I mean, since we then recorded on site at CHS a mini series, and since that got released about 2 weeks ago, we've had 15,000 downloads. And the idea is just to, we're known as the friendly hug of the industry, CHS, and Emma just wanted to continue that outside of just events and helping people in their day-to-day lives.
Amazing. And we'll share, if you can send us the link to that, Jenny, I'll share that with everybody afterwards. And for those of you watching it back on YouTube, I'll pop that into the YouTube information box as well. But yeah, what's the future then, Jenny? What's the future for CHS? I mean, obviously you've got loads of stuff going on, but what's coming up in the future that you might be able to tell us about?
Yeah, so the shows are growing dramatically. Birmingham is increasing ever again this year and will next year. We'll be doing more IVRs, and there's lots of exciting things coming in the works that we're looking at in other places in the country and also other countries, hopefully. So we'll just see where it goes, but a very exciting time. And a huge piece of work at the moment is launching the Edit and getting that up and running so that we have both sides playing hand in hand and helping people in their personal and professional lives.
Amazing. Jenny, it's a pleasure to spend time with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that's been helpful. We'd love to see you at the show. It's literally permanently marked in my diary every year. I absolutely love it. And I always go to Leeds as well, because the shows are so different every time. The suppliers aren't always the same. It could be different depending on what area you're from. So I'd love to be able to see you there. Like I say, it's totally free to come, and as soon as we get that kind of business case piece, we'll share that with you all as well. So you know, if that helps to kind of promote coming out for half a day or the full day, or to go to the IVRs, then we'd love to be able to see you there. But before we wrap up, has anyone got any final questions for Jenny before we wrap up today, or is there anything you wanted to add, Jenny?
No, just we'd love to see you there at any of our events. I'm always in Birmingham and West Midlands doing lots of different things. So if you'd like a coffee or for me to come in and speak to your team, just drop Daniel a message.
You're coming to Birmingham for a cookie drop with me in September, aren't you? So we'll be around the city centre. So if anyone wants us to pop over, let us know. It'd be lovely to see you.
Yeah, if you need to drop in some CHS branded cookies, we'd love to do that. Just drop your name across and we'll come and say hello.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Jenny. Thanks everyone for joining us. We've got our next session tomorrow, which is about body language, a body language expert with Chris Pardo, who's an NLP master practitioner. So if you want to join us at 10 o'clock tomorrow, please book onto that session via the PA Forum membership portal. But have a fantastic time, everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.